How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I am your host, as always, Hicksydust, back with another Pokemon-related video. Now, today we'll be talking about Gen 4. Gen 4 consists of Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. When people talk about Sinnoh, they usually go straight into performance issues, the DS-era awkwardness with that bulky new handheld. But when you zoom in on what Gen 4 actually added, it's this weird mix of incredibly important mechanical work and creatively kind of safe ideas. It's the generation that pushes the series forward in a bunch of invisible ways, while leaning really hard on older ideas to do it. Before I get into major criticisms, I'm going to take a moment to bring up one aspect it truly expanded upon in my eyes: the rival dynamic. In Gen 3, we were given May or Brendan, depending on how you played or which character you chose. But then we were introduced to Wally. Wally wasn't a true starter by any means, a true starter rival by any means, but more of a protege you mentor at the bidding of your father Norman, helping him catch his first Pokemon Ralts. In Gen 4, you have Barry and Dawn. Both will get starters depending on the one that you pick, meaning that all three starters actually get chosen in this generation. Barry will always take the one that beats yours, but yours will always be the one that beats Dawn, fulfilling the trifecta in that rock, paper, scissors type combat. A big part of what I'd call patch note evolutions, Gen 4 shows up, looks at a bunch of older Pokemon, and starts handing out new final and pre-evolutions. You've got Honchkrow, Magmortar, Electivire, Tangrowth, Yanmega, and a whole slew of others. Conceptually, it's cool. Take forgotten or undercooked lines from earlier gens and give them a glow up. The problem is, when you pull back and look at Sinnoh's Pokedex as a whole, a lot of its identity is borrowed from the other gens. Instead of feeling like a region full of brand new ideas and fresh Pokemon, Gen 4 sometimes feels like a giant patch note for Gens 1, 2, and 3. And some of those additions don't even land for me. Honchkrow, for example, is one I'm pretty meh on. It goes from small black bird to larger black bird, but it's not all bad. There are some patch notes I'm actually really into, and I'll talk more about some of those down the line that hit the hardest for me. But right now I'm just going to pick a handful of interesting Pokemon ideas that came out of Gen 4, and we'll move on from there. Chatot, the musical bird Pokemon. At first glance, Chatot doesn't seem all that imposing. One form, cute, songbird, parrot-looking Pokemon. However, Chatot carried with it a unique gimmick, one which landed this Pokemon in some hot water. Chatot used the move Chatter. This move allowed you to record any sound you wanted using the Nintendo DS's microphone. And while this would be a rather fun and clever gimmick, the lack of regulation on what people would say had this Pokemon banned from competitive play because players had Chatot saying some pretty nasty or inappropriate things.
What did he say?
You need to leave!
Now, I was mulling over whether or not I was going to even include this next segment, but then I decided that if I'm going to review Gen 4, that I have to bring it up. I mean, if a cursing parrot isn't enough, Gen 4 added a Pokemon that is widely talked about in certain circles, and not without some controversy. Lopunny. I'm sure you've seen the jokes, or the references, or the memes, and while I'm not exactly sure what this Pokemon is doing in a kid's game, just know that depending on your search history, determines how hard I'm going to judge you in the presence of this Pokemon. Now, this next Pokemon would end up being probably considered the face or mascot of the entire generation, Lucario. Lucario is a fighting and steel type 2-form Pokemon introduced in Gen 4, which evolves from Riolu after obtaining high friendship, but only during daytime hours, mixing two of the franchise's evolution mechanics. Lucario has been so popular after its introduction in Gen 4 that it has been included in every generation since then, as well has made some appearances in other Nintendo titles, such as Super Smash Bros. Now, if there's another Pokemon that I have to give a shout out or a spotlight to, it has to be Garchomp. Garchomp is the pseudo-legendary for Sinnoh and the ace of the region's champion Cynthia. Garchomp is a 3-stage evolution ground and dragon type, which sounds familiar if you saw my Gen 3 video featuring Flygon. Game Freak is not shy at all about repeating types, hence why we have so many fire and fighting starter type Pokemon. But this one to me feels way overshadowed. It almost makes me wish they made Flygon Bug Dragon instead of Ground Dragon to keep him and Garchomp in different lanes entirely. Given its Landshark design and the fact that it's the ace for arguably one of the most famous regional champions in the franchise's history, it's no wonder why Garchomp is so popular. One place where Sinnoh absolutely nails it though is the starter trio. On paper, it's the classic grass, fire, water triangle: Turtwig, Chimchar, Piplup, but their final forms, Torterra, Infernape, and Empoleon, quietly create one of the coolest starter webs in the series. It's not just my type beats your type anymore. Everybody can actually throw down with anybody. Torterra picks up ground, which lets it smack both Empoleon's steel typing and Infernape's fire typing with earthquake. Empoleon shrugs off grass in a way most water types can only dream of, and it usually packs ice coverage, which absolutely deletes Torterra. Infernape, meanwhile, gets that firefighting combo to punch Empoleon's steel side and roast Torterra's grass side. You go from a simple rock, paper, scissors to this messy, interconnected triangle where all three can blow each other up if you play it right. It's one of the places where Gen 4 feels really thought out instead of just safe. Another very Sinnoh thing is the underground. On the surface, Sinnoh's pretty linear. You're following routes, hitting gyms, doing the usual Pokemon thing. But beneath all of that is this big, cozy, where you're digging for fossils and spheres, decorating your own secret base. It's kind of like Hoenn's Secret Bases 2.0, but wrapped up in its own ecosystem. The underground is both charming and a little bit grindy. On one hand, it's a fun excuse to disappear for an hour and distract yourself, bonk walls, and hoard loot. On the other hand, if you want certain fossils or items, you better enjoy staring at brown rock textures for a while. Still, as a kid on the DS, it made Sinnoh feel just a little bit deeper. Like there was a hidden layer of the region and only you and your friends got to mess around in it. Speaking of layers, we've got to talk HMs. Gen 3 was already pushing the limit on how many move slots you had to waste just to exist in the overworld. Gen 4 looks at that and says, hold my beer. Gen 4 added 2 more HMs, Defog and Rock Climb. On paper, sounds like an absolute nightmare. More move slots to waste, more HM mules, more friction just to walk around and exist. But this is the first time the series really starts shoving a lot of that HM nonsense off to the side. You still need them if you want to see absolutely everything Sinnoh has to offer, but most of the time they're guarding optional Pokemon and treasure, not blocking basic story progression. It's a baby step, but it's the beginning of the end for the HM era. Alright, it's time to talk teams. My main Sinnoh squad usually rolls in as Torterra, Luxray, Bastiodon, Floatzel, Drifblim, and Heracross. This is actually the first gen where I had to raid an older Pokedex to flesh out the roster, and honestly, I kinda love that. It fits Gen 4's whole sewing the past and present together with one very big patchwork quilt. This is also one of the tankiest builds I run in any region, but it gets the job done. Torterra is my big, chunky, grass-ground anchor. The literal hill my team is willing to die on. It can even fend off some fire types if you play it right. It just so happens to crumble if somebody so much as whispers Ice Beam in the direction thanks to that 4 times weakness. On Torterra, I like to run what I call the Sunny Beam cannon. Turn 1, we set up Sunny Day. And suddenly, Solar Beam goes from 2-turn nap time to instant laser cannon. Normally you have to charge 1 turn and then fire the next. But with Sun Up, Torterra just presses the button and makes things explode. It makes this slow turtle feel way more proactive than it has any right to be. Luxray is here because cool electric lion, no notes. It's a 3-stage evolution with real bite, and electric is one of the best typings in the entire series with exactly one weakness. If you hand me a strong electric type with good design, I'm basically obligated by law to put it on the team. Bastiodon is my "you shall not pass" wall of rock and steel. It's one of 2 fossil lines you can pick up in Sinnoh, the other being Cranidos, which evolves into Rampardos. Cranidos and Rampardos are both pure rocks modeled after Pachycephalosauri dinosaurs, those thick skull, dome-headed dinosaurs that just ram into things for fun. Bastiodon, on the other hand, has this massive armored faceplate that always reminds me of Chasmosaur from the Triceratops family. Thinking about these 2 fossil Pokemon is the perfect excuse for me to mash my Jurassic World Evolution brain into my Pokemon brain. I've even got some Jurassic World Evolution runs up on the channel if you want to see that side of me in action. But for now, we're staying locked in on Sinnoh. Floatzel is my speed injection, the fast attacker this slow, chonky squad desperately needs. When the rest of the team is built like a medieval fortress, it's nice to have one guy who can actually run a 40-yard dash. Drifblim is my giant ghost weather balloon with a very weird resume. This Pokemon evolves from Drifloon, a guaranteed spawn which can be found outside the Valley Windworks one day out of the week, almost as though it's waiting for you. This Pokemon has some of the most disturbing and infamous Pokedex entries across all the Pokemon in all the games. This Pokemon is often described as carrying wayward children off to the underworld. I often like to joke that catching this Pokemon isn't just about adding it to my team, but preventing a true crime documentary. Heracross comes in as my hand-me-down from Johto, a Gen 2 favorite that slides into this roster without doubling up on types. At this point, it's less just another bug fighting type and more like old reliable teammate who keeps showing up every season and still earns their spot. Okay, so honorable mentions for Sinnoh starts with Pachirisu. It's just a regional Pikachu, but it's one of my favorites. There's something really funny about a tiny lightning squirrel that can absolutely solo your squad if you underestimate it. Then there's Munchlax. Gen 4 added some more baby forms, and while some of them are an absolute pain to get, Munchlax, or Munchies as I like to nickname him, is hands down my favorite of the bunch. I mean, just look at him. Remember those patch note evolutions from earlier? Magmar and Electabuzz got absolutely overhauled into 3-stage Pokemon each. They were both gifted baby forms in Gen 2, and now final forms in Gen 4 as Electivire and Magmortar, respectively. While both are absolute units, which trends so hard with my favorites formula, they need to be traded while holding special items to unlock their final forms, which can be annoying. Same with Rhyperior that evolves from Rhydon. Tangrowth and Yanmega are ones that really work for me also, and these don't require trade evolutions, so they are much easier to fit onto your squads. Both Pokemon need to level up with the move Ancient Power in their move pools to be able to evolve, and these are forms that I like the most coming out of Gen 4. It was cool to see them showcasing or showing some love to some designs from previous gens that maybe felt unfinished or polished. I still think it's not the most creative route, and I left some forms off the list that I'm not exactly a fan of, but I can admit when something hits the mark even if I have criticisms of it. Take Tangela for a second. This is a first time I'm talking about Tangela throughout all of my videos. Why? Because in my Gen 1 video, I was very neutral towards this one. Very take it or leave it. Now, it feels complete, finished, and Tangrowth feels like an upgrade instead of a one-stage Pokemon that feels lost in the shuffle. Abomasnow is another big one for me. Great concept, great design, Gen 4 original, a walking blizzard tree that brings permanent hail with it. If I'm not locking into a grass starter like Torterra, this thing makes my team way more often. But the fact is I usually pick Torterra So, unless we're talking about later gens, Abomasnow doesn't often sneak into my team, which is why I had to put it on the honorable mentions list. Now, before we finish out this video, like always, we have to go into our least favorite Pokemon. And for Sinnoh, it's easy. Mime Jr. My most hated Pokemon from Gen 1 got a baby form, and I will yeet this thing into the fires of Mordor before I ever put it on a team. I respect that some people may like this line. If Mime Jr. is your buddy, I'm happy for you. But for me, this is where the baby form experiment went too far. Alright guys, that's my read on Sinnoh. From here on out in the series, this is my creativity standard. My benchmark, if you will. Reusing old ideas isn't automatically bad, but you've got to either evolve them in a meaningful way or twist them into something that feels fresh. Gen 4 leans on the past a lot, and yeah, sometimes it misses. But when it hits, either through the starter web, the patch note evolutions that actually land, the underground, and the first real cracks in the HM wall, you can see Pokemon slowly figuring out what a modern Pokemon game should be. Next up is Unova with Generation 5, a region that really tests this standard. It swings so hard in a totally different direction, and I've got a lot to say about it. If you want to see how Gen 5 handles creativity after Sinnoh rewrote all the rules, hit subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And I'll see you guys in the next one.